This is streaming.
And we are live. Welcome, everybody. How's everyone doing? Chris, nice to see you here. Haven't seen you in a long time.
Good to be back
Just
again after a couple of weeks hiatus. Christina,
Nice.
you've been the other Chris in the room for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Christina's been dropping some absolute nuggets and gems, so we decided we can have a really cool little discussion today between reviewers and proposers. But before we get into all of that, I just want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. We're on TownHall 218, and as always, we've got a jam-packed agenda today. But before we get into that, if you're watching us on X, show us some love, like, repost, and spread the word. And if you're on YouTube, don't be afraid. Head over to projectcatalyst.io, hit that news tab, and go to the tunnel section, sign up, and come join us on Zoom. And with that being said, I think we can go ahead and get the show on the road.
We were just talking about, before we kick off, about our public speaking experiences and how Catalyst Town Hall really is a bit of a different kettle of fish, a different beast when it comes to presenting and talking to people, because it's the permanent record, right? We've got to be here, make sure that we show up. I don't think there's been too much crazy scenes that have taken place over these last 5 years in Catalyst. There's been no, stock crashes because people like spark up a doob or something like that. There's been no, price of ADA dumping just because someone said something crazy on a Catalyst Town Hall. I think we've kept our nose pretty clean, don't you think, guys?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. Although I must admit, Danny did tell me a scary story. I was so terrified I'm not going to repeat it again. So I think we can go ahead and get Christina and Newman, our guest for today, to go ahead and read the welcome to the experiment slide. Well, introduction slide. So I'm
Let's
going
do
to
it together.
count down.
Let's do it together.
That
Come on,
has
here
to
we
be
go.
together.
Me and you. 1, 2, ready, go. Welcome
to the experiment. Things may break. Lack documentation. Differ greatly between iterations. Disorient, overload, and inspire. Our goal to provide a safe and lively environment for you to explore the highest potential of human collaboration.
That one's awesome.
I think we did great.
I think we crushed that.
Definitely. Love it. So for those of you who don't know Newman and Christina, Newman is a facilitator at Gimbal Labs, and Christina is the CEO at, if I'm pronouncing correct, Blink Labs.
Yeah.
Before we get into all of this, I want to share with you guys a video. So since we are in the reviewing period at the moment, I thought, why don't we get a proposer? Why don't we get a reviewer? And the reason for that is people have different perspectives, right? And perspectives, I would say, shape everything. What we see, how we judge, the decisions we make. But sometimes we also need to change our perspectives in order to have a better understanding. And I got this idea from this video that I'm going to share with you guys quickly. Starts to play.
Bro, that doesn't even make sense. It makes total sense. You just open up your mind and you listen to other people's opinions.
What's going on here? What's going on?
John's being ridiculous. I'm being ridiculous. You're the one that thinks
Bro,
that. How can you not see
Okay,
it?
boys, calm down. Okay, everybody take your seats. Matthew, John, come up here, please. And John, stand over there and face that direction. Matthew, come over here and just do the opposite. Thank you.
I was not expecting
Okay, boys, turn around. And John, what color is the ball?
The ball's white. Seriously? Bro, do you just like making things difficult?
Well, what color do you say the ball is?
Black. The ball is black, clearly. I don't know what you see, Robert, but the ball is white.
Without looking at the ball, I want you to both switch places. Okay, both of you, please turn around. And what color is the ball now? Okay, please have a seat. Throughout our lives, we believe many things, and we hold dear what we think is right and true. But at times there'll be others who disagree with us. What we believe to be 100% right, they believe the opposite just as strongly. Well, how can that be? Can't they see? We can become frustrated, we might grow distant, We may even sever relationships entirely. Slow down. Breathe. Step into the other person's shoes. It'll make all the difference.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna lie, I'm hoping it was purple, but it wasn't purple.
So I kind of that set the scene for today's discussion. So we have Newman as our reviewer, and we've got Casino as our proposer. So before we get into it, who is Newman?
Yeah. Hey everybody. If you don't know me, I've been around for several years, I guess 2020. I'm an American. I grew up in the southeast of the United States, but I've traveled extensively. I lived in Taiwan and I lived in Alaska. You know, I guess professionally, I come from the educator space and that ed tech boom that happened in 2005 to 2012-ish. In 2012, I decided to stop, put away the computer, and I went to work on a farm in Northern California with my brother. And then we had a pandemic, and I was like, actually, a cable guy at the farm, a satellite cable guy, a Russian guy, was just like, you guys should check out Bitcoin. And that's how I got into the blockchain technology. And I've been a technologist my whole life. And so we got into trading and found Cardano, third generation coin, technology. And then have stuck around because of finding these town halls and the people that I've met here. I'm thinking about Melanie from C4C and James from Gimbal Labs, and and finding collaborators like Harsha and Andrew, and all the beautiful people that are around. I just saw Rafit in here. And so that's what I do. But now mostly, I'm interested in documentation and collaboration. Nori, another person that I've met and is a strong collaborator. We work at the Odin Project, which is like our collaboration focus. So yeah, a little bit about me. A little bit about me.
A little bit. Well, I learn quite a lot. They say you learn new things every day. I learned a heck of a lot of new things about you, Newman.
Nice.
I'd love to pose that question to Christina. Christina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
About me. Wow. I am an old school IT person. I started working with computers in the 90s. I started with open source in the early 2000s, and I worked in corporate America for 20 years. I did mergers and acquisitions, which was stressful but super cool because I got to travel all around the world, and somebody else paid for it. And I have 2 kids. I actually retired once. It turns out the thing I'm really not good at is retiring. And I started coming to Cardano because some of my friends, my husband, have a business and they were struggling with getting Catalyst videos submitted. I heard numerous conversations with this man named Chris Bard, who they were like, thank God for Chris, or else we'd never get these completed. And with my background, I said, oh, I can totally help you guys with that. So I've managed Catalyst projects. So I actually kind of came in because of Catalyst. And I just started going everywhere. I don't know. I met this guy named Quasar, and Quasar just started introducing me to people. See, look at you guys nodding your heads. You guys all know Quasar, don't you?
I mean, you don't know Quasar. Quasar is just.
Does anyone know Quasar? Right.
So he's the one that brought me to the Catalyst Discord server, and I started participating there, became an admin there, and I just continue to find new spaces within our ecosystem that I enjoy helping out. So now I'm a host with Cardano over coffee. As we mentioned, I'm now COO of Blink Labs. I can do a whole lot more than just manage the projects. And I am head of the board of Pragma. So I'm about open source and furthering the ecosystem. I don't know. I'm just a happy nerd.
A constitution committee candidate as well.
Yes, but I mean, whoever wins, I feel comfortable. I just want to see more people vote because our governance deserves more than 5% participation.
Love it, love it. And
shout
I
out
mean,
to
your
Quasar,
answer,
by the way. Shout out to Quasar, big love.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. Christina, I was gonna ask you another question, but you like kind of answered it with the question before already. So I'm gonna pose this one to Newman. Newman, what motivated you to get involved in Catalyst? And what role do you think they play in the wider ecosystem?
Well, I think good things happen when people get together. Actually, showing that video about like being able to like walk a mile in another man's shoes, or somebody mentioned the elephant experiment. These are the things that like really tweaked my mind. And the town halls are the place where people could get together. Like that, when we first got that email that said, "Hey, they're going to do this thing called Project Catalyst," and I was like, "Yeah, I just showed up. Basically, I just showed up for a town hall, which was great. And there was a presentation, and Dor Gorbash was the guy running it back then. And I could share this little story because way back then, there was a Discord server for Swarm. I don't think the Project Catalyst Discord server had started yet. And they Dor like said something silly that the people in the chat were like egging him on to do. And it turns out that the people in the Swarm Discord, and they had made this agreement with Dor that he would say whatever they told him to say, and they would coordinate on like a funny thing to make the guy say. So I thought, wow, these are the fun loving, like Christina. These are the fun loving nerds, like doing fun loving stuff, which is, since I was a kid, I'd always want to be a part of. And so I just, yeah. And then I met like some really like had some like incredible conversations in the after town halls. Because then it was that participatory part, wasn't like, like everybody was talking, and you could get into a small space and like really make a connection. And that's where I found all these incredible collaborators.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so Newman, I obviously invited you as the reviewer. So I'm going to post more reviewer questions to you, and Christina, you as the proposer. So coming back to you, Christina, what would you say is the biggest challenge in writing or shaping your proposal?
I would say the thing that requires the most work is the milestones. And it's definitely important that people understand that the milestones are how we get paid, because how a project manager might write milestones could change dramatically if you know that they need to be sequential and they can't run concurrently. So really just making sure that you make realistic milestones, and of course, now make sure that you have all the right information in there and follow everything that's been laid out within the milestone module. But the milestones is probably the most important part. You can get that wrong and that'll slow everything down. And even if your project's approved, voted for, funded, and everything, your milestones might still need work.
Would you say the new milestone module helped quite a bit in that regard?
I like the new milestone module because it really guides people through how to make sure that you have the right content in it. I'll be a little biased and say that I kind of had a flow that, was working for us, but it was very easy to adapt to this new method. And if that makes it easier for reviewers to, check off that they've done everything, it's fine. It's easy enough to do.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
I do like the discussion feature, though. I like that we now have notifications when somebody puts something in there, because that's huge. It took me a while to figure out it was up to me to go look and check.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of feedback, and a lot of people have been mentioning the same thing. So it's good to hear that. It's really good to hear that.
I guess it's about creating those better efficiencies of feedback loops, isn't it, really, on that front?
Yeah, and it's just important because if you put something in there and you wait a week and you don't see anything, you get frustrated. You assume the other person just isn't doing their job, or you start making assumptions, right? And then come to find out they didn't even know.
Yeah, and then guess who else gets like emails? Danny. We all
It's
do.
Danny. It's Danny.
Yeah.
Danny's the one.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Christina. I do have a question for Newman, and then I'm going to pose a question that I'd like you both to answer. So, Newman, what inspired you to step in the role of a reviewer? And what criteria do you consider most important when evaluating a proposal?
Well, I'll take the I think the most important criteria, I mean, I key off of a bunch of stuff, but I really think the easy one and the one that I focus on a lot is just the team and the feasibility. Because it's something that it's like there are easy wins. For instance, a public repo or some type of LinkedIn or some type of reputation that's verifiable. If they're just sort of an unknown quantity, and then if they make me do a search and there's 100 John Smiths, and then you say John Smith Cardano and there's nothing, or there's something, but if you have a LinkedIn, just please put it in there. If you have a GitHub, and if you have relevant experience, please put it in there. It seems like it's an easy win. And I know if they're serious, and serious is a judgment, but it's sort of, I feel like I know who they are. And it doesn't mean that you have to have those things. It just means that that's an easy thing for me to be able to fit my rest of my critical thinking around, or I can base my review around it. And then why to become a reviewer? As I was preparing for this, I was like, I love the protocolness or the gameness of it. And the community aspect. Like, it's not saying, hey, you have to be an expert or you have to be a so-and-so, but you as a community member, you can look and sort of see what these projects are about. And then I can talk to other community members. I felt like that's like an important role, and that Catalyst was saying, hey, we want, and we were encouraging everybody to come in and do this role. So it just made sense to me that if there were all these proposals, and I believe in the wisdom of the crowds, meaning that we can, if we all put eyes on it, we can kind of suss out stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I like that. We all come together, we can all, I suppose, understand one another, which kind of brings me to another important question to both you, Newman, and Christina. And I'll go ladies first. What do you wish more people understood about your side of the process? So, Christina, as a proposer, what do you wish more people understood about your side of the process? And Newman, as a reviewer, what do you wish more people understood about your side of the process?
That's difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about the things that have been frustrating for me. And at various times, so I don't do just proposals for Blink Labs. We collaborate with other groups, and sometimes we'll have shared proposals. And when we do that, I'm working with another person, often who speaks a different language. And we are doing a lot of, well, now they're just using AI to help translate and to put things together cleanly. And sometimes we get dinged for that because there was AI usage and the milestone reviewer didn't like something about it. And so that's been frustrating, but I can see how that can be both sides too. So I think this is just more a general one, I guess, that we need to be more understanding of each other and where we're coming from. Especially as native English speakers. This is a luxury. It's an advantage. We understand this. We tend to talk quickly. It's difficult for everybody to pick it up. And so there's a lot of translation and AI being used to help. And on both sides, we need to be understanding of that usage and also make sure we're not abusing it ourselves. Because I have no problem with people using AI, especially like you feed it information, you're asking questions, it gets to the point where you're kind of having a debate with it. And that's fine. But I do take issue when you just ask AI the question and you copy and paste that. That's totally different. So, and AI is just becoming such a more focused thing in our community where we're going to see it everywhere. So I really think that responsible AI usage is something we all need to keep in mind. The tolerance with each other using it, and also making sure that we ourselves are using it in a way that we would accept somebody else using, I don't know if I did a good job answering that question because
no, you definitely did. You
okay,
definitely
good.
did. And I heard a lot of compassion and empathy coming out of that as well. Even same question I'd like to pose to you. What do you wish the other side, what do you wish the proposer would understand from the reviewer's perspective?
I guess, I mean, there's a huge gamut of like what kind of proposals come in. I think, you know, as like if I could talk to the proposers, I just say, you know, using AI is great, and to follow up on the AI thing, because it does help to sort of communicate the idea. Sometimes it can be super verbose. It seems like we have been in this real spike in what the AI tools look like and how they were. My biggest grievance with the AI is when the reviewers use AI and they just put out this slop, and that's horrible. You know, like you really don't need AI to write a review. I mean, maybe if you need it to like craft a sentence, etc. But I think for what I to tell the proposers is to explain the idea as clearly as possible and as concisely as possible, because we have to review a lot. That's part of the game. It's just like you get 80 to review, you want to make that quota, etc. I think, I mean, we don't ever really get into arguments. So I can't really be like, oh, the proposers. It's basically just us and how I read their proposal. I yeah, I think it's about clarity. But I mean, how do you do that? I think they're trying to make it clear, but sometimes it comes across a little different.
Let me ask you a follow-up question there, Noonan. So coming back to the AI thing, because I think it's really important and interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
What's your immediate feel when you see something that really clearly is written by AI and seems to be in the, not generic, because obviously everything's kind of different.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like when you're the reviewer and you see that content laid in the way that it is, which seems to be becoming quite formulaic in certain senses, what's your initial feedback? Like your feeling? Do you have any questions around authenticity? Do you have any questions around? I think that's a really interesting, timely zeitgeist point to kind of touch. Right.
I think that Christina actually said it pretty well. Is that you know, it's just good use of a tool. AI is a tool, and if I get the feeling that they don't know what they're talking about and they've just copy pasted something in there, and the way I judge that, or the way I discern that, because I don't want to judge anything. I want to have critical thinking, and that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But if I get the sense that they don't know what they're speaking of, or for instance, the milestones. A lot of people will write something in their solution, and then they'll ask the AI to write out the milestones, and the AI will put stuff in it's not coherent or congruent. Like there's like little parts that
I've seen that before, where you go and ask AI, you're like, where did you even get this from?
Yeah. You know, and I've run around. This is in the milestone moderation, where it mentions something in one part and not the other, and they'll say it's not in the proposal. I was like, well, it says here in this section that you were going to deliver this, and they'll go back and forth, and they'll say we didn't do it, and I think it's because the AI slipped it in and they didn't read it carefully enough. I think it's just good and bad use of it, and I do, you know, it's like the famous court case, you know, about pornography in the 70s, and they're like, you can't define it, but you know it when you see it. And I think that's probably a poor answer, but it is something that I look for. I definitely, and this gets to a main point that I want to make is that, and I think what Faye is trying to make is that we have to have empathy. That I'm not trying to shut down somebody's ideas, and I want them to use the AI tools, especially if they don't speak in this English, especially if they're just trying to understand things. So I want to see the person behind it and try to make an analysis. Now, but that gets into a slippery thing, because we're just judging what's on the paper, you know. It does influence me if I feel that there's a genuine person behind it. And that goes back to my original point about really nailing the credibility, feasibility, having a good team bio, having a good link to things that you've done out there on the internet.
Lovely answer. Lovely answer. And yeah, you're completely right. That's kind of the point that I was trying to make. And I'll ask both of you one last question to sum it up.
I want to add something real quick. There's this meme going around, and I think it's really appropriate. It's really fitting. And it was programmers worried about ChatGPT, and then it talked about mathematicians who survived the invention of the calculator. You know, you saw it too, Newman, right? I loved it. It was great. But I mean, there's two different ways to look at it. Is yes, there's people concerned about AI taking their jobs, just like I'm sure mathematicians were concerned about the calculator. But what did it do? It actually elevated them. And we need to keep that in mind, that it is meant to be a tool to elevate us, not to replace us, not to replace our original thoughts, but to, you know, help support that so that we can become even greater. That was all I had to say.
Love it. Love the positivity. Every week.
Sounds like you're signing up for Neuralink, Christina.
It goes in here. It goes in here.
Well, just to bring it back home. So, like, we've heard now from you, Newman, as a reviewer. We've heard from you as Christina as a proposer. My last and final question to you guys: when you hear each other's perspectives, where do you think the biggest misunderstandings lie?
So my proposals are always technical in nature. And at time, I think we have some difficulty there because not all reviewers are technical, which has made us Blink Labs do our proposals in a very specific way within GitHub. We use the project feature within GitHub and we link everything that way. And we've tried to make it so that anybody, regardless of technical skill, can look at what our output was and then go look in GitHub and say, yes, I see that. I can see the pull request. I can see this was closed. I can see there's code. You know, I can see there were no errors when the code ran, to try and make it as simple as we can. And the problem is then we get a technical reviewer who gets really annoyed with us. And we're just trying to balance because we don't know who our reviewers are going to be. So we're trying not to make it too difficult, but evidently dumbing it down has been looked on poorly too.
Thanks a lot. Newman?
Yeah, the biggest misunderstanding. I think that possibly it's, you know, the difference between, I guess, like axe to grind is sort of the thing. It's where a reviewer, and this I guess would be to fellow reviewers. I think a lot of people will bring baggage into the review, and it's having a skill, because it's really a skill, that you practice and say, okay, I need to be critical. Like, you have to have an opinion, but it's also not just you're bringing it from other projects, or you have a bias or a stereotype. You know, and it's a great experience in finding those perspectives that you didn't know that you had. I mean, it could be Catalyst review as personal development. But I think that we do need to be sort of gentle with each other, or compassionate, or have empathy. But then it is a task to do, and that can lead to misunderstandings. That if you get a bad review, which you do, and it's, you know, like if you get, like, for instance, too much of your personal bias comes into play, and you get filtered out, like, because you can get filtered out, because it's just like the game used to be like, oh, look, this is, you know, and you know, don't take that personally, but just sort of take the feedback. I guess that could be a thing. It's just like, this is meant for you to edify you, not to break you down. And that we're all playing the same game, that we're all, you know, here exploring the highest forms of human collaboration. And so just take the good and sort of let the bad sort of roll off the back. I guess that
100%.
would be.
Yeah, that flexibility and the understanding to stop and think for a minute, that's huge. It makes such a big difference, because when I was talking about the different reviewers, I'll have reviewers that just start arguing with me about what the output looks like. Tell me I have to use bullet points instead of numbers. That's stuff that I think we could be a little more flexible on. We could kind of, tomato, it's fine.
Those numbers are really important, though. I got to tell you, those numbers are really important, though.
I like my bullet points.
I think we'd all agree formatting does matter, right? Like formatting does matter. Trying to make something easy to read or easier to read when we're dealing with flipping complex concepts at the best of times, often jargon that most people would wrestle with if they weren't deep down the rabbit hole. But so readability is kind of important, but to score someone down because they chose a bullet over an A or a one.
Yeah.
We always get through them, and it just takes a little bit of, space, take a deep breath, come back to it tomorrow. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I think you guys really highlighted the point of from different perspectives, having compassion, having empathy, having understanding that there's a human on the other side. And just trying to have that understanding and the conversation with them and really try and get to know who it is I'm speaking to. Are they understanding what I'm saying? Do I need to maybe phrase it differently, etc.? So it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I wonder what reviewers' empathy for proposers would look like if a proposal had like a PFP attached to it or something like that, right? Or if you saw someone's face and you knew who the proposer kind of was or something like that, like would you be like, oh, actually, maybe I shouldn't be too hard on them, or maybe I double down, or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, if I know a proposer, like if I know them personally,
which you do,
there's that whole conflict, right? There's a whole conflict of interest thing. I do like the anonymity. I do like being anonymous for the milestone reviews, and we've, as a community, we said, hey, that's an important part, and so I try not to sort of divulge my identity. Sometimes it gets to an issue, but yes, like how can you increase the good kind of flexibility and the good kind of empathy? I would love to get more, because we used to, and we doubled down on it way back when. I'm seeing Walcott there. Like we doubled down on trying to train folks and get people like really taking the role seriously and thinking of it as a skill that you can learn, that you can improve on. And yeah, I would love to, because I do see it as a human development and a thing. Like it is a valuable contribution, and it can be learned.
100%. 100%. I think Newman, for your next proposal, Fund 16, that's something we could implement a workshop on that.
I like it.
But
well,
I think
do keep in mind,
Yeah.
I'm gonna volunteer Newman and Christina. You heard it here first, because in the Q1, ladies in the Q2, we're gonna run a series of upskilling workshops and lessons learned across the entire milestone reviewer cohort, because that thing is definitely overdue. But now that we have some additional tools in the pipeline and everything, we're gonna get our heads together and we have to standardize what generally is like 90% of the performance of the cohorts is generally very, very good. And obviously, we want to make sure that the last mile of 10% is able to keep up. And some of those, to your point, workshops or training or upskilling, it is going to become a natural cadence and a heartbeat to the master program as well. It took a while to get there because we had some other things to work through, but we're methodically over the line with those. Hope everybody's enjoying the master module upgrades. More to come. They're actually sitting in the backlog. There's a couple of new releases that we're going to be looking forward over the next couple of months as well. But yeah, the formal retraining and leveling set with cohort is expected in the Q1. So looking forward to seeing you there.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Danny's dropping some bombs. But we are 40 minutes in, and Newman, Christina, thank you guys for sharing your perspectives with us. And I hope it inspires everyone else to also have a little bit more empathy and compassion and just try and look at the perspectives from other people, from another person's point of view. So let's get on to the next segment, which is what's the community building? I don't think it would be fun if we didn't get into something like this. So we've got SJG tools, stake pool setup operation, TI tool in Japanese. So to set the scene a little bit, the problem was setting up a stake pool through command line execution requires, well, let's say a lot of technical expertise, definitely for me. It takes significant time and leaves room for errors during daily operations. So let's see what this team did in order to combat that.
This project closeout video is for the Fun 10 project SJG Tools V2 Stake Pool Setup and Operation TUI tool in Japanese, which received Catalyst funding. SJG Tool is a stake pool management tool used within SPO Japan Guild, a Japanese SPO community. The tool was designed for operation and maintenance, but it did not include functionality to set up new stake pools. Setting up a stake pool traditionally requires many command line operations and a significant amount of time. Although SPO Japan Guild provides detailed manuals to help beginners set up their pools as smoothly as possible, many community members wanted an even simpler and faster solution. Therefore, we proposed and developed a no-command stake pool setup tool to make the process accessible to everyone. All the funds received were used entirely for development labor costs. After the project began, in order to achieve a fully no-command setup, we needed to implement a terminal user interface using shell scripts. Therefore, we started by researching and selecting suitable libraries. Even after transitioning from the POC phase to full-scale development, we went through extensive trial and error to refine the UX and UI design. During development, major code modifications were made to enhance both user experience and maintainability, which resulted in significant delays compared to the initially planned milestones. Furthermore, considering future marketing and branding strategies, we decided to rename the tool from the original SJG Tool V2 to SPO Kit. This new name is easier to understand and more approachable for newcomers who are interested in becoming SPOs. As for the original KPI, reducing the time required for stake pool setup by 40%, we successfully achieved a 67% reduction, far exceeding our target. We will now demonstrate the tool in action. Due to time constraints, the video will be shown in fast-forward mode.
It's really fast forward mode, so I think I might give some commentary while they're doing this. But I was reading through this project, and a couple of cool things that I liked is they democratized SPO participation. And you might be wondering how they do that. Well, I read about it a little bit earlier, which was it made less technical. So lowering the barrier to entry, which is quite cool. Also, according to this solution, they reduce human error, which I think is great. And to top it all off, Christine, I think you'd like this one. Open source contribution.
I mean, shout out to BTBF, to be fair. He's an OG in the Cardano ecosystem. One of my homies in Japan. And not only has he built this project and service, but he's also rolled out, scrapers that take everything from the Catalyst website and spit it out into a Japanese translated wiki, which is pretty flipping awesome because, everybody in Japan, should be able to receive and consume the Catalyst content like any other person around the world, right? Or that's able to understand the English language. But there's a lot of people in Japan that don't speak English or don't read English. So to have someone create effectively an automated way in an efficient manner to be able to make sure that the information is with their community is such a public good for that community. And what it's seen is that there's been hundreds projects funded in Japan as a result. So shout out to you, BTBF. Respect.
Nice.
Now, I saw this when I was in Japan at the Tech for Impact Summit. He showed me this, and we went through it and did the whole process, and the whole thing was done while we were still talking. I don't remember exactly how long, but it was less than 15 minutes. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so cool. I've heard people complain it's taking them hours or days.
Yeah,
Can we have
I
this
like
translated to English so I can just do it? Please, anybody out there? Would help me get up my my one-click SPO?
Yeah, I think I tried this and it took me like a couple of months and I still didn't get it right. So I really admire tools like this, really lowering the barrier to entry for others. It's quite cool.
So just for everybody's, if you're watching along, going, what is going on screen? Like, this is effectively a one-click solution, and it's taking from start to finish the setup of the infrastructure and components and tooling that effectively gets you going as a Japan Guild SPO stake pool operator.
I believe they've also got some guided workflows for you as
This
well.
product will continue to be developed, with the next major milestone being the release of version 1.0. Planned features include automatic update functionality, English language support, governance voting integration, integration with metadata hosting services. These enhancements will further improve usability and expand accessibility for both Japanese and global SPOs.
Mic drop. Love it.
Nice. Okay, we've got another project, which is open source integration of Hummingbot with Cardano for enhanced DeFi liquidity. Team behind this is Shay Gamer. There was some really cool stuff. It connects Hummingbot directly to the Cardano dexes, so traders can run bots super quickly. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about this. I'd rather have you see his close-up video.
In this Cardano Open Developers project, we set out to connect Cardano's DeFi ecosystem with Hummingbot, the open source platform for automated trading. Hummingbot empowers developers and traders to run market-making and execution strategies in a non-custodial, programmable way. By implementing Cardano DEX connectors for Hummingbot, we aim to elevate trading functionality and deepen liquidity, so the benefits extend across the entire Cardano DeFi community. We delivered a blueprint for connecting the Hummingbot gateway to the Cardano ecosystem. We then built 2 fully functioning connectors for Cardano DEXs, along with end-to-end integration tests that demonstrate real trading capabilities. We also provided user documentation and an integration guide so teams can deploy quickly and extend the approach to additional Cardano-based DEXs. Finally, we submitted our work to Hummingbot for inclusion in the main repository of this open-source project. We've increased developer adoption by adding standardized Cardano connectors directly into Hummingbot. We reduced barriers to algorithmic trading by delivering pre-built, fully tested connectors that expose a unified high-level API. And we improved liquidity across Cardano DEX by enabling open-source market-making strategies that anyone can run non-custodially. In this demo, we demonstrate the use of the Hummingbot gateway with the new MinSwap connector. First, we connect our wallet. We are then able to add tokens and query our balances on-chain. Get a live quote for a given pair and transaction size. Trade with a market order. Here we use a Hummingbot script to buy additional 100 ADA using Min. Place a limit order. We can see how this trade takes longer to execute as the price was initially higher than our limit. Adding liquidity to a given pool. And finally, removing liquidity. With this 5 primitives, traders can automate arbitrary trading strategies and contribute to the liquidity of the ecosystem. With the project complete, the Cardano connectors are now fully integrated into Hummingbot and ready for use. Developers and traders can explore the GitHub repository, try the connectors in their own strategies, and start contributing to Cardano's DeFi liquidity today. These connectors also serve as reference implementations for building future integrations with additional Cardano desks. Join us in making Cardano DeFi more attractive and robust. Thank you, Catalyst, for funding open source innovation.
Shay?
I kind of think there's a theme happening here. We'll be seeing a lot of open source projects, and it's quite cool because it's actually inviting the community to come and join along. And after all, we've been nothing without our community. So, to glance out a little bit, we can see that last week we've done 17 completed projects and 25 verified milestones. And if you guys have a look at the map, the numbers are climbing. It's getting closer and closer. Regions are getting closer and closer to their totals. And I think with 115, that 2,222 number is going to jump quite a bit. So I'm excited for that. But before we get into all of that information, I think I'm going to hand over to Danny, who's going to take us through the key update section.
Whoa, go back.
Oh,
Look,
sorry.
Stop. Whoa, rewind. We're at 1,499 completed projects. This time last year, we were at 1,000 completed projects. This time last year.
Yeah, we do have some. Okay, I'm not going to give too much information away, but we do have something special that we'll share with you guys soon once we hit the 1,500 mark. So yeah, Chris is right, 1,499. When 1,500 comes, you guys will see some cool stuff. Okay, Danny, you need to give some key updates to the community.
Alrighty. Well, yes, just a couple more projects, just one more, and it's 1,500, 1,500. I think it's just meant to be. It's just all aligning, whether it's on the screens and all whatnot. Even though I have still a pet peeve, I don't know how we're gonna get and break that last frontier, that one last missing continent. We don't have a project funded on every continent but Antarctica. Like, what do we need to do to get something there so we can put it on the map? Anyways, I'm just throwing it out.
It needs to be a Catalyst proposal to send somebody there to do a project.
Christina, you stole my thought there. We can cope with the pose.
Maybe we should do a live event, launching fund, whatever the number that may be, live from Antarctica.
SPO language set to penguin.
Exactly. Let's do a penguin round. All right, good stuff. Well, we have only a few minutes left before the hour runs out. Well, what do we know? The review period is open. As of yesterday night, we soft launched, so we've seen already people have been participating, and as of today, we're pleased to confirm that a community review is plenty on its way. We have nearly 1,500 unique reviewers that have subscribed and are now currently active. And I think as of this morning, I saw already 500 reviews being clocked in. So the community reviewer registration is already elapsed. So if you haven't registered by November 27th at 6 a.m. UTC, which was last week, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to participate in this activity. So keep in mind Fund 16 when it comes around for your next opportunity there. Now we are in the first part of the community review, which will be lasting from today all the way up until December 15th, when community members are providing the feedback based on impact, feasibility, capability, and then value for the money. In that sense, that's what's the core of the work over the course of the next 2 weeks. Then after we're done, midway through the December, we're going to reshape the community review module into the moderation state, and we're going to be reviewing the outcomes of all of these reviewers for the rest of the time in the month, into the holidays, and then into the early part of the January, just in time so that we can get on with the next stage, which will be then the voting itself. Now, just very quick, there's a couple of tips maybe just to go over. If you are participating community reviewer, you have received a notification, an email, a formal invite that includes a lot of helpful tips, some of which you're seeing here on the screen, but otherwise you will be able to cycle through that documentation that you are provided in your email. We can't recommend enough, especially based on the conversation you saw in the first part of this town hall between reviewers and the proposers, is to exercise empathy and try to look at how might you add value, providing feedback into the proposers pool so they can get better next time around and we can have better outcomes and people can iterate from then point onward. Again, there's some really good rules to follow, so make sure before you submit any of your reviews, you actually follow the guidelines and understand what is within realms of acceptance and what isn't. At the end of the day, we're looking for the human input. Originality is key. We talked about the use of AI. Well, you shouldn't be using AI just promptly to do the reviews on their own. We're looking for your brain activity and your insights that should be making the difference in this funding round as such. So again, we appreciate you participating and make sure you do this on time, spread your wings in such a way that you don't rush towards the deadline, which will be on December 15th at 6 a.m. UTC as such. Where does all of this work happen? If you're curious, whether you are a community reviewer or regular community member, well, just go on the reviews.projectcatalyst.io and you can have a sneak peek preview of what's happening under the hood and seeing also your proposals in there as such. Now, if you are a proposer, you know that we've moved towards the community review stage. So the submission deadline was actually the same time that the community reviewers were submitting their applications for participation. So that already took place last week. What it means is that now we're going towards the community review, and that's where we're going to be spending really the major part of this month and into the next year as such. Now, as hinted, proposal submission is now closed. Something to keep in mind. What is community review about? Well, you're not only receiving the feedback from the community reviewers, but the Catalyst program is also actively moderating and reviewing for compliance. For example, if your Tier 1 Enterprise Partnership project, you have received earlier today communication requesting you to provide some additional information when it comes to verify and validate whether it was your memorandums of understanding, letters of intent, or other evidence that supports the claim that you are fit for the partnership category. Again, follow those instructions in the email if you are in the Tier 1 Enterprise category, and it should be relatively straightforward to you to submit that evidence. There is a deadline to follow as well, so all of those details you will find in your emails if not already. In parallel, we're going to be also launching the second iteration of the community-led bounty program, which will be looking at the compliance and eligibility across all of the submitted categories and all of the proposals within them. So keep an eye on it. We'll be also pushing over the next couple of hours the global communications about this more updating the information in terms of like what's been happening, and that will also include a CSV file for all of the spreadsheet lovers pointing right at me. You'll be able to see all of the proposals in one spreadsheet, so you can actually look at it and you can slice it and dice it and see what's happening. It is also the same spreadsheet that will be collecting the moderated entries, and this time around we're going to have a little bit of improvement. We're going to be able to add a category for which reason a proposal may have been moderated, so that it also elevates some of the ambiguity that sometimes may be challenging to communicate at scale as well. So keep an eye on those communications, the proposal itself, and all the links if you want to have the access back to the Catalyst app will be listed in that spreadsheet as well. So that's coming in the next couple of hours. Now, what else is happening in at the same time? Well, if you're not a proposer and you're not participating in any of the other activities, well, there is an extra work that can be done as well, and that is casting the votes. That will happen in January. Before you know it, the snapshot is upon us. So if you haven't participated in Catalyst and this is your first time, we do encourage you to go and make your registration done before the snapshot. Snapshot is scheduled for January 4th, 2026. So on the other side, next year at 9:45 p.m. UTC. If you already have a valid registration from the past, all you need to do is just sit tight, ensure you have a valid balance, and that you haven't lost your QR and PIN code, and then you will be ready to go when the voting opens, which will be in the week of January 12th, and will be running pretty much through the end of January. And by that time, we should know the results, and Fund 15 onboarding will begin. And there you have it. Well, there is something also more exciting. Speaking of timelines and whatnot, what's happening next week, Faye?
So next week, there's a Texas Cardano Founder Catalyst program. There's gonna be tons of companies there, and Damio, ATM, QuickPay, Genwell, Trinity, Smart Loss. That's just to name a few. There's a list that I have over here. So whether you're an investor, a mentor, a builder, Cardano community member, it doesn't matter. Come and join us on Zoom. QR code's on the screen. You have to register. It's going to be Tuesday, the 9th of December, between 5 and 7 GMT +2. So I'll leave it up here for a little bit for you guys to.
Isn't that exciting? Like when did it just begin? I mean, Chris, we just chatted about it. What was it? It feels like yesterday when these programs were coming on their way. And now we're gonna have another graduating class from Techstars, and Cardano are just represented across the board and across all of these amazing projects. I've given yesterday, we were giving as a Catalyst team a master class for Techstars as well. And it was fascinating to see how much these projects have also changed over the course of the program itself. It's all about how do they communicate, how do they pitch, how do they zone in on the business fundamentals as well, so they can put themselves in a position of success and scale their value propositions. And I think it's been invaluable experience, and it's cool to see that Catalyst has been able to aid in such an endeavor. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe just to sort of level set and take a step back, because there's probably a lot of people here that maybe don't fully understand who Techstars are, or what this type of program is all about. So Techstars, alongside Draper University, alongside UNDP with Emergo's Altfin Labs, and then CV Labs, are all examples of accelerator programs that take founders through an entrepreneurship journey and basically give them skills and access to resources and people that can help them get their idea from maybe an MVP or a prototype to being something that's ready to pitch in front of investors for serious capital. And yeah, Techstars are by and large the most active startup investor on the planet. Maybe only seconds to Y Combinator in terms of brand recognition. And they run programs everywhere across all industries, not just Web3. And they started knocking on our door about 2 years ago to come to look at the opportunities to support Cardano startups and founders, because they found the tech fascinating. And it took a hop and a skip, but we managed to see top tier investor accelerator programs launch on Cardano just earlier this year, really, and throughout the back end of last year they were campaigning for your votes. And so now we've gone through a whole cycle of these accelerator programs, and what's come out of it? Well, there's a whole bunch of better equipped founders, probably with Rolodexes, and if anybody uses those anymore, or Telegram contacts lists, maybe some emails. Certainly a lot more connections, let's say that, to people that can provide them with that next layer of capital and injection of good vibes and vital resources to be able to move a business from A to B to C. And I'm thrilled to have seen all this take place. I think we're also seeing now the fruition of partnerships maturing between the likes of Draper Dragons and the Cardano Foundation as a result. And I would imagine that what we're going to see is more and more investor interest beginning to turn their attention towards this ecosystem, both from the Cardano perspective, but also with the advent of things like Midnight and other cool opportunities coming downstream. And now's the time, right? We're still early.
And just to add to that, Chris, I mean, this is the 2025 Techstars and Cardano Founder Catalyst program finale. So what that means is you guys get to see live pitches. So live pitches that are going to be showcased and shown to see these early stage startups and founders reveal what they built over the intense, I think it's a 10-week mentorship acceleration. So it's really cool. The final. I've signed up already, so if you guys haven't signed up, QR code is on the screen. Grab it, and hopefully we'll see you guys on Tuesday there. Okay, diving into the Catalyst and the Catalyst Horizons annual report. Lots of information in this report. Again, there's a QR code on the top right-hand side. It's full of data. If you guys haven't read it, you're really missing out. I believe we're really starting potentially on the one for 2026, which is going to have even more fascinating information. Just keep your eyes open on that. And if you guys do want to see what's happening in the rest of the world, well, head over to projectcatalyst.io, hit the global map, the global map tab, interactive map, select your continent, and you guys can literally see what projects are being built in different various places of the world. How do you stay in touch with us? Well, we're on Telegram. We've got a newsletter. There's Discord as well. You can follow us on X or connect with us on LinkedIn. Before I go ahead and end this, I think I'll be handing over either to Christina or Peter. Christina, over to you.
All right, give me a sec. I'm going to share my screen. Cool. All right. After the town hall, as always, is the after town hall. I'd like to introduce you to some other events that happen around the globe. So we do have a Europe town hall and an Africa town hall. Not all time zones work for this one. So if one of these works better for you, feel free to join. We have community events all around the globe every day of the week, it seems. Cardano over coffee is one of my favorites. I'm a little biased because I'm also on Cardano over coffee, but this is a Twitter space. It's hosted Monday through Friday. It starts at 3:30 UTC. And I definitely want to highlight this is a great place to book a space or book a guest slot, and you can share your Catalyst Fun 15 pitch. Let everybody know about your project and get some eyes on your proposal. We also have the Odin monthly community meeting. This is Mondays at 5 p.m. UTC. Cardano governance workshops on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Gimbal Labs season 6. This is Thursdays at 2:30 UTC. The WADA forum is Thursdays at 4 p.m. UTC. EU Cardano, if you're not familiar, this is another Twitter space. They do language themed spaces. This is of particular interest. If you don't see your language available, you could talk to them and maybe you'd be willing to start hosting some yourself. And then we have 45B open hours. If you're not familiar, Lucas is here, but this is a great space for non-technical people to onboard and learn a little more about Web3. Outside these community events, we've got our breakout rooms. We do not have any special breakout rooms today, so we will host a Fun 15 Q&A as these proposals are already submitted. If you have any questions about how to pitch your proposal, what you need to do to start getting eyes on your proposal, just stick around and join us afterwards. If we have anybody here that wants to open up the Soleil de Cafe, we'll open this up for Portuguese and Spanish speaking individuals. And then, of course, we have open rooms. If you've been having a conversation and you'd like to continue it, you're more than welcome to take one of these open rooms and continue your conversation there. That is it. Thank you guys so much. I hope to see you again next week. And anybody who wants to stick around, you just have to connect to the Zoom link to join us for the after town hall. Thanks.
Thanks, Christina. And yeah, thank you to everyone who joined us today, especially Christina and Newman. Sincerely appreciate you guys sharing perspectives from different sides. Unfortunately, our main broadcast has come to an end on YouTube and X, but you guys know where to catch us. Same time, same place next week, 3 p.m. UTC. See you guys.